the place that unites Nigeria.
And there's the start and get. Promises to share out. Winds up that right hand.
Archbishop of basketball, goal! He hung on that net like a stalk up a tree.
NTA Sports 24 brings you all sports, all time and all day. Tune in to watch NTA Sports 24 on Star Times Channel 270, StarSat on Channel 434 and Free TV on Channel 731. NTA Sports 24, where sports thrive.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Social media is like a big notice board in the marketplace. What you put on it, everybody will see.
One major definition of integrity is that you should do the right thing even if nobody is looking at you.
At what point do we as a people stand still and say, no, we no longer want money to become that thing that determines who we choose as leaders?
We are 50% of the population, and I really feel that it would make a lot of difference, a big boost to our development if there were more women participation.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide a company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. Application for iOS or Android. Intelsat 901/332.5 degrees east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go.
Nigeria and the United States of America host virtual meeting of the Global Coalition to defeat ISIS. Nigerian Navy hands over barge to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Prime Minister Boris Johnson appoints Anne-Marie Trevelyan as UK's international champion on adaptation and resilience for the COP26 presidency. These and more on Panorama. I'm Najat Tijani. We'll be right back. Nigeria and the United States of America hosted a virtual meeting of the Global Coalition to defeat ISIS. A statement from the Office of the National Security Advisor indicates that coordinators of the national counter-terrorism units of the two countries co-chaired the meeting, attended by delegates from the 82-member Global Coalition drawn from the African Union, European Union, ECOWAS, and G5 Sahel, among other international and regional organizations. The statement notes that the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Mongono, in a message expressed Nigeria's commitment to the global coalition against ISIS and other terrorist groups. Nigeria's leading role under President Muhammadu Buhari towards defeating terrorism in West Africa was commended at the global event. The Directorate of Defense Media Operation DMO says the air component of Operation Thunderstrike has neutralized several armed bandits in the Kwambana Forest area of Kaduna State. Defense Media Coordinator Major General John Enenche says the operation took place on 12th November 2020, sequel to reports that close to 100 bandits rustled a large number of cattle and other livestock from Nankolo and Machita villages. The bandits and the rustled livestock were subsequently spotted by a Nigerian Air Force aircraft on reconnaissance mission. A NAF attack helicopter engaged the target area, leading to the neutralization of several of the bandits. Meanwhile, the panel of inquiry on restitution for victims of police brutality, including the Lekki tollgate incident, has resumed sitting in Lagos with conspicuous presence of the two young members of panel whose absence had led to suspension of proceedings. Jennifer Igwe reports that the key parties in the Lekki tollgate incident and the Nigerian Army gave detailed presentation of their involvement in the shooting.
Presentation by Brigadier General Ahmed Taiwo of the Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps and Commander 81 Military Intelligence Brigade showed how hoodlums took over highways in Lagos, perpetrating crimes, burning police stations, including looting of arms and ammunition. He showed graphic videos of how policemen were overpowered, killed in very gruesome manners, including burning of their bodies and feasting on them by hoodlums. This series of events, according to him, made the governor of Lagos State to impose a curfew and call in the army.
The world over, it is the task of the armed forces to intervene when a situation overcomes the police and other paramilitary services.
The video also showed that although the soldiers fired gunshots, they were up in the air and not directly at protesters. After cross-examination by the counsel to the Lagos State government, Owoni Koko Abiodun, and counsel to 7 NSAS protesters, Olumide Fusika SAN, the chairman of the panel, Justice Doris Okuwobi, retired, adjourned the case for further hearing.
In the circumstance, further proceedings is adjourned to Saturday, 21st November 2020.
In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
The age-long agitation for the establishment of community policing is gradually coming to fruition with the passing out of 1,195 special constables from the Police College, Kaduna. Francis Fong reports.
These are not newly placed recruits, but the pioneer graduates of the community policing arrangement. After rigorous training in drill, basic police duties, concept of rule of law, community policing relations, intelligence gathering, and neighborhood policing, amongst others, they are ready for deployments to their communities in Zamfara State to complement the effort of the conventional police in the fight against crime and criminality.
The institutionalization of community policing is an affirmation of government's pragmatic effort at partnering with the communities in designing and executing community-based solutions to tackle crimes. May I therefore enjoin you to renew faith in yourselves, develop right attitude towards your new assignment,
These people were taken from the local governments, from the communities. I think they are the ones who know who the criminals are and where the crimes start from. So I think it's very, very important on that note that they will help out with the security as well.
Apart from this 1,195 graduates from Zamfara State, Minister of Police Affairs said there are other constabulary simultaneously passing out across the 13 police training centers in the country. In Abuja, Francis from NTA News.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the National Assembly has indicated its commitment to improving the welfare of officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force to enable them perform their mandate optimally. The House leader and member representing Tudun Wada Doguwa Federal Constituency, Al-Hassan Adu Doguwa, stated this while donating 2 Toyota Hilux vans to the Kano Command of the Nigerian Police Force. Yahana Suhassan Barrow reports.
Falgora Forest covers an area of about 1,000 square kilometers and ties within 3 local governments in Kano State. The once peaceful settlement now faces security challenges ranging from kidnapping, armed banditry, and cattle rustling, which many attributed to its large and expanse of land as it borders 3 states of Kaduna, Bauchi, and Plateau. To therefore complement the efforts of the federal government and support the security personnel maintaining law and order in the area, the member representing the constituency at the National Assembly, Al-Hassan Adu Doguwa, donated Hilux to the Nigerian police, this in addition to motorcycles to enhance their operations.
These 2 Hilux you have seen and the motorcycles I've given them is my private and personal donation to the Nigerian Police Force, Doguwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency Divisions, because they are doing a lot for our people.
A very welcome development, and they are all the vehicles given to us, the one refurbished, and then by the various groups and society will all be put to use.
Adu Doguwa also implore well-meaning Nigerians and corporate organizations to support the initiative, maintaining that security is a collective responsibility. In Kano, Yahana Hassan Barrow, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a barge allegedly involved in illicit oil deals and seized by the Nigerian Navy may be forfeited to the federal government on conclusion of investigation. Commander Suleiman Mohammed disclosed this while handing over the barge to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Rivers State. Jenny Bassi reports.
The barge, named MLJ Favor 1, was intercepted and seized by NNS Pathfinder Patrol Team on 13 October for suspected involvement in oil bunkering activities around Abisa Creek in Degema local government area of Rivers State. The barge is laden with unspecified volume of petroleum product suspected to be illegally refined automotive gas oil without any suspects. Handing over the barge to EFCC, Commander Suleiman Mohammed noted that Navy is continuing on its massive campaign to rid rivers waterway of crude oil theft, illegal oil refining, and pipeline vandalism.
Zero tolerance to crude oil theft, illegal oil bunkering, and other illicit activities within the maritime environment.
Receiving the badge, Deputy Detective Superintendent EFCC Hezekiah Lott said the anti-craft agency will investigate the allegation.
Obviously, there were no suspects arrested alongside the badge, but further investigations will be carried out. We're going to write to relevant agencies to know if the badge has been registered. If otherwise, it's going to be forfeited finally to the federal government.
The commander further enjoined those behind maritime crime to refrain from it, stressing that the Navy will not relent in its war against oil theft and related crimes. In Port Harcourt, Jenny Bassi, NTA News.
The Borno state government has launched a 25-year development plan framework as well as a 10-year strategic transformation initiative geared at restoring the lost glory of the state affected by the more than decade-long insurgency. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed launched the document, and Mohammed Goni reports.
The 25-year Borno State Development Plan
is aimed at restoring the honor, dignity, and prosperity of Borno State and to ensure that all citizens, including future generations, have access to basic necessities. It also incorporates a 10-year strategic transformation initiative with the objective of making the state self-reliant with over 70% productive population by 2030.
Today represents a unique milestone in the history of development of Borno State. Today represents the triumph of hope over hopelessness, confidence over pessimism, and optimism over despondency. Today Borno State is standing once again on the threshold of history, ready to mobilize all resources at its disposal to overcome life's enduring challenges.
The governor, who stressed his resolve to rejuvenate the economy of the state, also announced that the state government will inject 50 billion naira into the economy to support farmers and small-scale businesses, and further reiterated his commitment to continue resettlement process, which will lead to closure of all IDP camps by 2021.
The 25-year development plan and 10-year strategic transformation initiative of Borno State cannot work alone. It has to work in tandem with the federal government of Nigeria's NTA 2021 to 2025 and 2026 to 2030. It is because of this I encourage all the stakeholders to join their hands together to make sure that we transform our potentials to reality.
There were goodwill messages from the former Governor Kashim Shettima on behalf of the National Assembly, the United Nations, as well as Shehu Borno, assuring support to the success of the development plan. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has launched the 2020-2021 dry season cropping in Calabar amidst the state of vandalization of property at the Cross River Basin Development Authority. Paul Abel reports.
The symbolic launching of the 2020-2021 dry season cropping, the minister encouraged staff of the Cross River Basin Development Authority not to be deterred by the mayhem on their facility, but that they should rather be resilient while hoping for better days ahead. The minister also speaks on the relevance and importance of the river basin authorities in the country.
The whole idea is not for river basins to be only generating internally generated revenue or to be operating like commercial agencies. The most important thing is how much they impact the farmers outside. What are they extending? What kind of techniques are they giving to the farmers? What kind of support are they giving to farmers?
While affirming the resolve to revitalize the river basins through agriculture, food security and integrated rural development, the minister promised to assist the authority to get them up again. It took time to go around the various departments and facilities vandalized by the suspected hoodlums during the national crisis that engulfed the organization. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Similarly, wheat farmers across the country have been tasked to support the federal government policy on Stop the Import Substitution agenda regarding value addition in wheat production. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Sabunanonu, gave this indication at the National Wheat Stakeholders Meeting in Kano. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
From 2016 to June 2020, the wheat import bill, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria, stood at $6 billion, which underscores the need to develop the value chain and reduce its importation, enhance food security, create jobs, and conserve the foreign exchange. It is against this background that these key players in wheat production come together to chart a roadmap for economic development.
We must patronize Nigeria. We must support Nigeria.
We have been struggling over the past years to access funds to finance wheat.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Sabunanonu, represented at the occasion, says the national production of wheat as at 2020 is 420,000 metric tons, while the consumption stood at 5.26 million metric tons, with enormous gap, and there is need for massive investment to support the right policies to protect the sector.
The Ministry through the wheat value chain has put in place various measures to increase wheat production and productivity, as
has a theme, transforming wheat production in Nigeria through increasing synergies and adopting new technologies. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
This is Panorama, reaching you from our network studios in Abuja. It's time for a break. The news continues shortly.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thanks for staying with Panorama. Climate crisis like the coronavirus pandemic is a global threat which knows no borders. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said this at a virtual meeting with heads of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization at Debola. Brooklyn Sunday reports.
Climate change, analysts say, acts as a threat multiplier, as its resulting effects can create and aggravate political, economic and social tensions, potentially contributing to cycles of poverty, violence and migration. Antonio Guterres said the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development underpin the work of the United Nations and should be central to national decision-making.
Strong engagement of SCO member states.
The UN scribe called for stronger ties with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in tackling climate change and geopolitical tensions amid COVID-19.
The tide is turning. The European Union, Japan, the Republic of Korea, together with more than 110 other countries, have committed to net zero emissions by 2050, and China before 2060. I call on more governments to join this net zero coalition and to align their COVID-19 recovery plans and national determined contributions for climate action with this objective.
The UN chief said regular exchanges between the United Nations and the organization provide ways to enhance cooperation on regional issues and appealed for global solidarity in the wake of the Armenia and Azerbaijan conflicts.
I look forward to your further advocacy and action to end hostilities around the world before the end of this year. When people fight each other, the only winner is the virus.
He commended their firm commitment to inclusive multilateralism and the principles of the United Nations Charter. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has appointed the former Secretary of State for International Development, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, as the UK's international champion on adaptation and resilience for the COP26 presidency. For the next 12 months and beyond, the UK will commit government, institutions and civil society groups in Nigeria and across the globe to support and work with global partners to build back better from COVID-19 and increase climate action. In her role as adaptation and resilience champion, Anne-Marie Trevelyan will engage the governments of the countries most affected by climate change and drive support from the international community and private sector. Anne-Marie Trevelyan's appointment is a part of the UK's overall effort at stepping up global leadership in tackling climate change, including the hosting of the Climate Ambition Summit on 12 December 2020 and COP26 in November 2021. The Climate Ambition Summit will be co-hosted by the UK, UN and France, alongside partners Italy and Chile, to mark the 5th anniversary of the landmark Paris Agreement, and will be an opportunity for world leaders to make ambitious climate commitments. With effect from 2021, only those with first class or second class upper division in their degrees will be employed as teachers. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sonia Chono, stated this while monitoring the October diet of the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination organized by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria this November in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports.
In recent times, the teaching profession has become an all-comers affair, which is a challenge in the education sector in Nigeria. And it is in a bid to ensure quality teaching and learning in schools that the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination is being organized for teachers.
It's a process that everybody must go through.
It helps evaluate if we'd be able to produce good teachers.
With the use of a carrot and stick approach, federal government says it will migrate teachers who are not qualified out of the classroom to make room for qualified persons because they want to achieve better learning outcomes.
You must have a first class or a 2-1 as minimum. And if you have qualifications in other subjects that is not in education, we arrange for a conversion program for you.
Buttressing this, Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, Professor Josiah Ajiboye, added that a teacher from Government Day Secondary School, Karu, in person of Okpeifa Olasukanmi, is among the top 10 finalists for this year's Global Teacher Award Prize.
The Global Teachers Prize carries a reward of $1 million. They are very enthused, highly enthused that a Nigerian has made it. This is going to be the first time that a Nigerian teacher will be making the first 10.
With the enforcement of government's directive that only qualified teachers will be allowed to teach, an implementation committee which will cover all aspects of teacher resuscitation and revitalization plan is expected to be inaugurated soon. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
It's time now for sports update with Enecho Adiku.
Football-loving Nigerians have condemned in totality the lackluster performance of the Nigerian Super Eagles against Sierra Leone in Benin after the team surrendered a 4-0 lead in an AFCON qualifier to draw 4-4 in regulation time. They concluded that the lack of technical discipline from the bench of the coaching crew caused the Eagles the maximum 3 points.
James Raw over time has showed that when it comes to in-game management, he's not top-notch.
Play the best players in the best positions, and I think we can take out Sierra Leone even in their backyard.
We made a very big mistake in the game. We are doing all our best to see that we qualify.
Two other Nations Cup qualifiers decided on Friday. Mali defeated Namibia by a lone goal. South Africa beat Sao Tome and Principe by 2-0, while Morocco walloped Central African Republic by 4-1. Other matches between Tunisia, Tanzania, Niger, and Ethiopia ended by a lone goal in favor of Tunisia and Niger. In other development, head coach of the Nigerian under-20 side, Ladan Boso, said a 25-man provisional list of the Flying Eagles for the WAFU Zone B Championship have been submitted to the Nigerian Football Federation for approval ahead of the games. Coach Ladan Boso stated this in Abuja after his team 4-1 victory in a friendly match against the Nigerian Army Guards Brigade football team, the Scorpion.
Of the 25, I still have to drop about 5 because we are traveling with 20 players.
In basketball, as part of means to curtail the spread of coronavirus in the wake of its second wave hitting countries of the world, a youth and sports development initiative of NBA Power Forward, the National Basketball Association and its partners have donated 30,000 masks, 90 new hand washing stations, and hand sanitizers to 30 schools in Abuja. NBA All-Star Victor Oladipo and 2015 NBA champion Festus Ezeli, among other personalities, were part of the 7-year-old initiative that has been using basketball to teach basic sports skills. With Sports Update, Enojo Adiku, NTA News.
And Sports Update concludes NTA Panorama. Remember to stand with NTA against rape and rapists. Thanks for watching.
the base that unites Nigeria.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Social media is like a big notice board in the marketplace. What you put on it, everybody will see.
One major definition of integrity is that you should do the right thing even if nobody is looking at you.
At what point do we as a people stand still and say, no, we no longer want money to become that thing that determines who we choose as leaders?
We are 50% of the population, and I really feel that it would make a lot of difference, a big boost to our development if there were more women participation.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Jennifer Igwe, welcome to another episode of Environment Matters. Now, normalcy and calm are gradually returning to most states in Nigeria after more than 2 weeks of demonstration by youth to end what they term brutality of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. Now, immediately, the media demands the federal government disbanded that squad and put in place modalities to ensure all their demands are met. In spite of this, the protests continued. In the process, hoodlums hijacked it and it escalated into mayhem, resulting in loss of lives and property. But one thing we don't realize is this: we are trying to fight back the impact of climate change, to save our environment, to ensure that we have an ecosystem that will pass from one generation to the other. All this will not be successful if we don't have a peaceful environment. So having a peaceful society is very crucial for sustainable development. So we will have experts talk to us today about it. We will also be looking at COVID-19. Now, with the NSAS protest, somehow our focus shifted a bit from the deadly pandemic. Sanitation officials and volunteers have begun cleaning up streets in Lagos after days of violence and unrest that left most areas littered with debris from shattered buildings, infrastructure, burnt properties and tires, including piled up refuse as waste management personnel were unable to move about to do their jobs. The mayhem that shook Lagos played out in some states as well, after more than 2 weeks protest by youths demanding the scrapping of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. Although the government immediately disbanded the squad, demonstrations continued until it was hijacked by suspected hoodlums, and the peaceful protest turned into widespread riot, violence, and looting. Lives have been lost, property destroyed, and environment polluted. Environmentalists have advised that anarchy is detrimental to environmental protection.
And we need to learn from nature that if we need change, and life is all about bringing about meaningful change, that change can only be advantageous if it is brought about peacefully. There's some fundamental laws in nature, and one of them is the law of action and reaction, or the law of retribution, or the law of if you sow a seed, you shall harvest what that seed grows into. Or, as one of our late musicians said, if you plant cassava, you know fit harvest cocoyam.
It is like throwing a spanner into the efforts of a nation to fight ecological challenges facing it. Scenarios like these can also aggravate natural disasters. Experts are appealing that peace is a key component in sustainable development. The environmental health of a nation, they say, can be crippled by crisis.
When the environment is not peaceful, for example, when there's a raid in the area where one lives, and you're hearing gunshots, and there's a lot of chaos, and everybody's running up and down the place, that's noise pollution. It's affecting you. You can't sleep. It's affecting the environment. And when it is that chaos goes on, and then it moves from that stage to looting and burning of tires and burning of houses, we move on to air pollution, all the poisonous fumes going up in the environment that you're supposed to be breathing in. Even after the looting is over, when the fumes have already died down, you go in that environment to sleep. You can't even breathe in such an environment. It's very bad. Now we come to what it is that happens again. There's looting, there's destruction, there's litter everywhere. Everywhere is in a mess. The environment is negatively affected. And of course, it affects your psyche. You're not able to sleep for days. And what happens? Not the environmentalists, the people who are supposed to look after the environment, supposed to care, can't work. They can't go to work, they can't think properly, they can't take care of the environment. So the environment is negatively affected when there's chaos, when there's no peace in the environment. Environmental protection cannot take place because the people who are supposed to be protecting the environment have been affected mentally, physically, perhaps even harmed.
Environmental conservation is a whole gamut of experiences. Forest management, park protection, research, and in most cases, tourism development. None of these can take place when there is no peace. None of this can take place when human beings are running helter-skelter, when you cannot move from one point to the other. We must work to ensure peace. When we get it wrong and the whole situation degenerates further, it is going to be devastating for humans and flora and fauna.
Fostering peace, environmentalists say, is pertinent in achieving a healthy and prosperous nation, checking pollution and conserving our biodiversity, including initiatives that boost economic growth and livelihoods. Environment matters. Now, coronavirus is still as real as the air we breathe. Dropping aside your face mask, not washing your hands or following most of the guidelines for safety that experts have given us is a no-no, because the pandemic is still claiming lives all around the world. So we'll take a bit of education today on COVID-19 to make us remember that the pandemic is still on.
Now, mommy,
the World Health Organization, other health experts and governments have hammered on the need for regular and thorough washing of hands with soap and water and use of alcohol-based sanitizers as crucial measures to boost hand hygiene and prevent spread of COVID-19. They've also advised maintenance of at least 5 feet distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing, including social distancing. The use of personal protective equipment like nose masks and face shields is not optional. They are necessities for personal safety and that of others. The mask is a two-way shield and filter that protects the wearer from inhaling droplets that can cause the disease and at the same time protect others from taking in droplets from the user. Although many are wearing masks, the tendency to use them wrongly is high. Wearing the protective covering over the nose and mouth will help keep the killer virus far away.
You have this metal part should be placed on the nose. Now, before you use your mask, it's essential you wash your hands properly, or you make use of an alcohol-based sanitizer. You clean your hands properly. Remember to clean in between your thumb. Clean your thumb, clean properly. Then you pick up the mask from its length and then you put it on your nose, round your ear, this way. Remember your hand is on the mask. Don't touch this part of the mask. Then you pull this down and you clip at this end. Also, when you want to remove it from the ear, for this kind of mask, you pull it out. For this kind of mask, it's only one-time use. Once you're done, you trash it. You don't need to wash this. But the material masks, you can wash them and reuse them. When you wash them, you ensure they are sun-dried, and probably you can iron them. That's the best way. So you have to know the front from the back. And then don't touch the outer part, the part facing someone looking at you. You don't need to touch that part. Then most people see some people pulling it down to their chin, or otherwise it's even better you remove it than pulling it down to your chin. So that's basically. Then when you're putting on your mask is when you're going to undergo some energy driven tasks like running, like serious house chores. You can remove the mask so you can breathe properly, taking a deep breath, and then you put on your mask. But if you're going to run down, if for elderly people that are going to go through the staircase, that are going to run, you can actually remove the mask and ensure you maintain good social distancing, 1 to 2 meters apart from any individual, and avoid crowded environments.
The hygienic condition of the mask is also a key factor for guaranteed safety. Wearing a dirty mask is like sleeping with a mosquito net with big holes.
Wearing of dirty or torn mask in this present situation in the world will be of very, very dangerous heart and hazardous effect to the people. Once you're wearing a mask and it is torn, then of what essence? Even very little pore, little hole in the mask can get you exposed, because the viruses we are dealing with, they are so small that even I cannot see them. Talk less of a torn part of the mask. And there are the other side of it. If you also wear a dirty mask, it's as if you have accumulated all sorts of bacteria, infection, and all the rest of them, and then they even begin to multiply and grow. So either way, either dirty or torn mask, they are of no good effect to you or to the people around you. Good. Wearing mask, everybody has kind of agreed now that it's of great benefit, because they create barriers for those wearing and for those that are, around the person wearing. So if both sides wear, then it further reduces the chances of ever contacting COVID-19 virus. The fact remains that this mask, they vary in quality, they vary in different types. So some of them are actually recyclable, can be recycled. And like we see now, a lot of people can only afford those that are made with cloth materials. But the cloth materials are not standardized. However, most of them are washable. You wash them, and when it is washed, make sure you don't use them moist. Most time we advise that you iron them. If you put them under hot iron, that will take care of any bacteria or any form of virus that might be hanging around it. And make sure you don't wear the same mask that has become soiled. Maybe after you've worn for so long, that has become soiled. Maybe after you've worn for so long, or you use one today and tomorrow you pick the same mask. This is not allowed. In the days before the pandemic, we doctors that used to use masks, most of them are disposable. You use only once and you dump it, and that is the end of it.
For those who tuck their mask away in their bags or pockets, or wear them only when they feel it's necessary, or to prove they own one, this advice from medical experts is a reminder that an ounce of prevention, even if it's tiring and boring, is worth a pound of cure.
Now, when you don't put it on, you're at risk of getting yourself infected without knowing. You're at risk at getting yourself infected without knowing, because most people will say, oh, I'm in an environment where there's no much crowd. But how sure are you in the last 10 minutes? How sure are you that someone that had the infection or someone that has the disease wasn't around that environment and sneezed or coughed? And you can never tell, you could pick up. So it's essential for us to protect one another, that we put on the masks so we can protect ourselves. Yes, most people might say, oh, we have breathing difficulties and the rest of them. That's why the essence of social distancing. If we maintain good social distancing, we can have spare time where we have in our own space, there's nobody around here, then we can pull it off. So that's why it's essential we maintain social distancing.
Poor hygiene and sanitation, according to the World Health Organization, is linked to transmission of diseases. And in the COVID-19 era, medical experts say this should be an urgent front burner. Although COVID-19 is transmitted when droplets by an infected person is inhaled, droplets can also land on surfaces, and when a healthy person touches such places or things unknowingly, that could be a quick source of transmission and spread of the virus. Scary, but true, as coronavirus can live for hours to days on surfaces like metals, doorknobs, and countertops, for instance. A crucial question, though, is this: what then happens to those who use public taps? How can they stay safe as they go to fetch water needed for hygiene and well-being?
The COVID-19 viruses, they stay long. On different media, they stay depending on the type of media. Some on cloth, some on the table, some on the stethoscope like this one, some on metals. We have found out that those that stay on metals actually they survive there for long. And when you now talk about the public tap, which is most times are made of metal, and in this part of the world where it's not so much available for us to have the non-contact tap, which should be the ideal thing. So you don't have to touch the tap, you don't have to turn it. All you do is, there are sensors in them that once you put your hand, the water comes, the soap, and you wash and you go. But in this part of the world, most places where you see public tap, definitely the person comes in and have to turn and then wash, and then at the end you still. So how many people are going to touch the handle, and then if one or two people have had viruses on their hands, they put the transfer to the metal, and this lasts long there. So every other person coming. So one of those things we can do in this climb is to make sure in the public places, or in places like this, my hospital or supermarket and other places where you have provided the water tap out there, at least somebody must be there that's going to open the tap and close it for every other person coming. Or the person that's washed his hand or her hands under the tap must be able to also try and raise the top and before closing it. But apart from that, every person using public tap, after doing the cleaning, as long as it's the contact type, if it's non-contact, you are okay. But so after the cleaning, after the washing and blocking the tap, then you must still use the sanitizer to make sure you are double covered. These are the kind of things, safe measures we can do. And as much as possible, avoid, washing everywhere where you think there are too many people using the tap. This is just an advice I think will go a long way further reducing the spread of the COVID-19 infection.
What we propose is this: don't touch the tap with your hands. So you can use tissue to open the tap and close the tap. If it's the ones that go up and go down, you can actually use your elbow, take it up, use your elbow, put it down. So what you do is you come to the tap, put it up with your elbow, you wash your hands. When you're done washing your hands, you put it down with your elbow. If it's the screw one, you use a tissue, use a piece of fabric, but please don't touch it with your hands. That's how you protect yourself when you're using public taps.
The Girl Guides rule, be prepared, is one that works any day. And in a critical situation where the world is living in the shadows of a dreaded pandemic, being prepared at all times should form the ABC of survival.
The study that evaluated the effectiveness of various types of materials used to make masks identified that the fabric mask should ideally have 3 layers: an outer layer, an inner layer, and a middle layer, which can be an insert or can be another fabric layer. The inner layer, which comes in direct contact with your face, should be a hydrophilic material, meaning it will easily absorb droplets from your exhaled breath. An example of this material is a cotton. It is important to select a light color such as white, which can help determine when it is soiled or wet. A good place to find this is in a woven or knit cotton t-shirt or material from a store. The middle layer should go into a pocket between the inner and the outer layer like this and should act as a filter. It should ideally be composed of a hydrophobic material. This should ideally be a strip of polypropylene fabric, which is a spun-bound, non-woven fabric material. The outermost layer should be a hydrophobic material. This means that the fabric will repel droplets and moisture. This can be made of a synthetic material such as a polyester or a polyester and cotton blend. This can be found again in a clothing item that is a knit pattern. So look around your household for items made of these materials and wash them before using them to make a mask. Although these 3 are the recommended layers to provide optimal filtration and breathability, there are other types of materials that could also be used and are mentioned in our guidance document. The importance of materials when you design a fabric mask is to ensure that it is both effective at containing droplets and it allows you to breathe easily. The fibers of the fabric must also be a balance between not too loose, which would allow the travel of droplets through the material, and not too tight, which can restrict the ability to breathe. You may choose to sew your own mask at home. There are a couple of designs mentioned in our guidance, and you can choose one for you that is easiest to make. Since these masks are intended for reuse, we recommend washing them daily after a day's use. Also, keep in mind, if you're using a middle layer as an insert for the filter, make sure you remove it before laundering it and insert a new filter when you are using a clean mask. Otherwise, you can choose to make a 3-layer mask without a removable middle layer. So find material that can withstand the highest possible temperature when washing. Ideally, you should be washing the fabric masks in warm or hot water of about 60 degrees Celsius with soap or laundry detergent. The materials should ideally be able to withstand boiling water. This means